Okay, so hello everyone, welcome to Genesis Institute of Life Science. This is me, Zeba Afroz, and this lecture is for short and quick trick regarding to pedigree. As you all know that the pedigree is very important topic and it has been, I think so, they ask in every year they ask pedigree. Okay, they ask that which trait is over there, find out the trait, find out the inheritance pattern. They will ask so many questions from the pedigree. So without wasting a time, I'm gonna start it here. What does pedigree mean? When you write pedigree, how you write it? You write it like this now. Pedigree. Okay, you write like this. So in a pedigree, P stands for pattern, D stands for disorder, okay, and I stand for inheritance, and G stands for generation. Simply, pedigree is a thing in which you will find out the pattern of disorder inheritance from generation to generation. This is pedigree. So if somebody is asking you that what you analyze in pedigree, so you will have to say that we find out the pattern of disorder inheritance, how any disorder is going to be inherit, or it has been inherited from the one generation to the another generation. We find out in a pedigree. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a short and quick, intro about this. So in a pedigree pattern, or you may say mode of inheritance for the pedigree could be two. Okay, autosomal based, autosomal chromosome based, okay, or it could be sex chromosome based. As you all know that if we categorize sexes, so how we will categorize? We will categorize it in two ways according to sex: X-linked and Y-linked. Okay. So for the Y, here I'm going to give you a key point for the Y. So for Y, a key point is that the disease will only appear in male. So disorder will only appear in male. Okay, so this means if in a pedigree you're seeing that every male, only male is carrying or showing the disease. Okay, so this means this pedigree is going to follow Y-linked pattern simply. And if you ask about X-linked, so in a X-linked we categorize it further into two categories. First one is dominant and second one is recessive. Okay, we categorize it into the two categories. And for the autosomal also we categorize it into the two category: dominant one and recessive. Okay, before initiating pedigree we must know few things. Okay, so we must know about the symbols. So here we are going to learn that with what the symbol defines us. So here we are going to learn the symbol. So as you are seeing this symbol, this square represent male, this circle represent female, this represent undefined sex, you can say simply. that the gender is not clear over here. Undefined sex, okay, or gender. Okay, so gender is not clear over here. This kind of symbol will represent carrier female. Okay, and this symbol will represent couple, or also it show marriage. Okay, so this horizontal line, this line is, you know, symbol of marriage, and if it is represented by the two, or they are connected by the two horizontal lines, so what does it mean? Simply, it simply means that the marriage has been held into the relatives. Okay, so marriage in relatives, in relatives. Here, this kind of a structure means from the horizontal line, if there is a vertical line, okay, so this means it is going to represent the children. Okay, so it represent upcoming generation or generation, or you may say simply children also. Okay, now this, if the circle and the square have been cut by this line, so what it says, it simply refer that, means they are no more. Okay, so they are no more. Okay, now this kind of, if they are connected by the triangle as you are seeing over here, this means they are twins. Okay, they are twins, but they are not identical, okay, and here they are twins but they are identical. Okay, now the second symbol, which is the most important and I have forgot to draw over here, was this. If any, you know, if female or male has been represented by a solid structure, you know, solid filled structure, they will show simply, this means they are affected or showing disorder. Okay, one key point you must know regarding to the carrier, that only female play a role of carrier in X-linked disease. Okay, so you can say that for the X-linked, female play role of carrier. Okay, and for the autosomal, male or female both can carry the disease. Okay, both can play a role of carrier, so both can be carrier. Okay, you will have to remember these few points. Now we are going to move ahead and going to discuss about what is autosomal and what is recessive disease. Okay, so for the autosomal chromosome based disease, you must know that the generation, okay, which will show the disease, okay, and the appearance of disease from the one generation to another generation, you will find the equal number of male and female. For the dominant one, you will find equal number of male or female Here we are talking for the affected one. Okay, affected. Okay, affected male and affected females number will be quite equal. Okay, and another point, there will be no skipping of disease. Okay, no skipping generation of generation. Here in recessive case, what you will find skipping of generation. Okay, and another point which we'll have to note for which will help us to solve the pedigree is that, like, we must know firstly what is homozygous allele. Homozygous allele. If we talk about homozygous allele, we must know that it could be capital A, or small a. So capital A will represent dominant one, okay, and small a will represent recessive. Understood? And for the heterozygous allele, what we can say, we can define it with the capital A and the small a. This will refer heterozygous condition. Understood? Okay, so here we are talking everything of according to the diseases, and if this disease is dominant, okay, in case of dominant, A and A means homozygous allele, dominant allele will show disease. This will show disease, and this heterozygous will also show disease. Why? Because you know that the dominant trait show their effect on generation. You know it from the Mendelian law. Okay, now here what we will have to know for solving any pedigree, you must know that if you are solving the dominant one, what can you find over there? You can find that the parents who are affected, okay, they can give a birth to unaffected child. Okay, affected parents can have unaffected child. Okay, so how? Very simple. You will have to show it like this, with this solid structure, as you are seeing that we are going to fill it. Okay, here by this vertical line we will represent daughter or son or children. So here I'm just drawing daughter. So as you seeing over here that she's not carrying disease. How? Because this parents are heterozygous, they are carrying heterozygous allele. Okay, so this recessive A and A allele would be carrying by this daughter. Understood? Simply, only in dominant case what you will find that if somebody is carrying such a kind of allele, will not show disease. Okay, this was the point to find out dominant one. And for the recessive one, what you'll have to understand, you will have to simply understand just opposite of this, that the unaffected parents can also have affected children. So unaffected parents can have affected child. Okay, how? Simply, again we are going to draw this pattern, and they are not affected. I'm so sorry, they are not affected. So, and they are saying that their daughter or their son can be affected. What we'll have to show by representing alleles, how we will represent it. We can represent it in a case of this and this. Now, it will show that the recessive one is carrying the disease only, means if in a recessive only if this homozygous allele is present, then only the disease will appear and the disorder will appear. Okay, so as here you are finding that there is a disease but their parents are not showing any kind of disorder, so simply the parents are carrying heterozygous allele. So heterozygous allele they are carrying over here. Okay, this is simple, this is easy to understand, I think so, I hope so. This is easy and you got the point that this a and small a has been come from the parents. The parents are playing a role of carrier over here. They are not showing the disorder, but they are carrying the alleles recessive one trait. Okay, so you will have to remember all these important points to solve the pedigree. And one thing also, no skipping generation. It means what? Any, like mother or can or father. Okay, any, either mother or can or father or both. Okay, or both can be affected, can show disorder. So I must say can show disorder. Okay, here for this point I'm writing it. Okay, this is quite, this point and this chart is gonna help you to solve pedigree problem. Okay, now the next one which we are going to discuss is for X-linked dominant and X-linked recessive. When we discuss this X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive, we must know in a case of X-linked, so means the X chromosome is playing a main role over there. If XX is like this, okay, this means it is a carrier. Okay, and if it is like this, so this means they are going to show disease, or it is represented by the bar. Okay, any symbol, whatever you can remember, you'll have to only find out the pattern. So it's up to you that which pattern you are going to find it. In a dominant one, what you'll have to understand that if any chromosome has affect, so if any single one is affected, they are going to appear their disease in a, for the dominant one. You'll have to remember, as you have as you have learned for the autosomal. So here in dominant and recessive, what the key points we'll have to remember: in a recessive, what you will find that the affected male numbers would be high. Affected male, the number of affected male would be high over there in a recessive. How it will high? As you can say, take the example like this. Okay, as you are seeing the example over here, what you will find, suppose she's carrier, okay, or simply she's affected. I'm taking example of affect. Okay, she's affected, XC and XC. Okay, we are representing it like this, and she has been married with the normal men carrying XY chromosome. Okay, what is going to happen over here? This X is going to be inherited here, so it will XY. Over here you are also seeing XY, so they both are showing the trait. But here for the girl, what is happening, she's playing a role for a carrier. What you are seeing over here, they both X, which will come, it could be like this. No, so she's playing a role as a carrier, but she will not show the effect. Okay, as if this male is affected, in that case only female will show the effect. So in a dominant case you are find the more number of female, means maximum or more affected female you will find. Okay, in dominant one. Understood? Or what you will find, to solve the dominant, you must have to remember in a dominant that the if father is affected, if father is affected, so what will happen? The daughter must be affected. Okay, you'll have to find this, and this single term will help you to solve the pedigree for the dominant and the recessive. And at both same point which we have learned in our previous pedigree, for the autosomal dominant and recessive, that the skipping generation. Okay, you'll have to, so there is no skipping of generation. Okay, and here in recessive case you will find skipping of generation. Of generation means the disease will not appear. How it will not appear? Because this female will play a role as a carrier. Okay, and here the females are affected. So this was the key point to solve the pedigree simply. Hope so you understood. You all have understood very well about the pedigree. Now the next we are going to solve the question based on pedigree. So the questions are this. Okay, this question is from last year pedigree, and the simplest pattern we'll have to apply here. Look, what we are gonna apply over here, what we are seeing over here, we are seeing in this pedigree, what we are seeing over here. Is there any skipping of generation? Skipping of generation is present or not? So no, there is no skipping of generation. Now look, this first generation is carrying disease, second generation is also carrying a disease, and third generation is also carrying, here is a disease. Okay, you got, I think so. Understood? So there is no skipping of generation. Now we are very sure that this is dominant one. Okay, now the next question, it is X-linked dominant, okay, or autosomal dominant. So simply you'll have to find out the inheritance pattern. Here you are finding that the male is affected. Okay, so daughter is affected, it could be X-linked. Okay, but if we will find this, we are seeing this over here. So what does this pedigree is saying us? It is saying that the in X-linked dominant, we have learned that if father is affected, then the daughter must be affected. Here we are not finding daughter as a affected one. Okay, so simply X-linked dominant is not present over here. This is autosomal dominant. Got the point? Okay, now the next pedigree we are gonna solve. Okay, by this pedigree, what we will see in this pedigree, again you'll have to find out the trait. What it is saying, that the inheritance is given disorder recorded in 3 small families shown below. Okay, this is okay. Now based on these above limited information, which one of the following inheritance pattern best explain the observation? Now you will have to guess it. I'm just going to give you 1 minute to identify. If any family you will identify, you can identify the whole, because here they are not asking that family 1, family 2, family 3, they all are asking about the pattern, entire pattern. Okay, so here what you are seeing, that only by seeing the family 1 you can identify the simplest way, in a simplest way. Here you are seeing that the non-affected parents are not affected, but their son is affected. Okay, so this is the case, this is the only case for recessive. Okay, for recessive disorder. And in what case we have studied it? We have studied it in a case of autosomal. Okay, so autosomal recessive in a family 1, this is confirmed, we can directly go with it. And here also you cannot apply X-linked, as you will find over here, because if this female is affected, what will happen, there is, the male cannot be normal, father must be affected if the daughter is affected. So the X recessive and dominant cannot be a case for such a kind of pedigree. So this was so simple to find out. Okay, now the next one is this. Okay, the trait is shown above pedigree, means this pedigree. You will have to find out that which pattern they are, following. Either it is X-linked, it is autosomal, it is Y-linked, or it is X-limited inheritance. You will have to tell all these things. So this is quite simple. Again, apply all those things which I have told you. So here you are finding that the male is affected and all males are affected over here. You can guess that it could be Y-linked. It could be Y-linked. Okay. And now again we are going to move ahead. What we are finding over here, we are finding that the parents are not affected, but their son or their children are showing what? They are showing the trait, they are showing the disorder. It could be recessive from this. Okay. So simply now the question is, in a Y-linked we have not learned about dominant or recessive one, and also we learned that in a pedigree only males would be affected, no any female can be affected. Okay, so here what you are finding, that the female is affected. Okay, so what with option will you go? Okay, will you follow, which option will you follow? You will follow the autosomal recessive option. Okay, autosomal recessive, because here they are denying it. Now if they had given it as a combination, that they are showing Y-linked or autosomal recessive trait, both Y-linked or autosomal recessive trait. If in this way they have given the example option, so you can take the both. Okay, but here what you are finding here, the conclusion is that the autosomal recessive only. Okay, by seeing this pattern only, you can say that yeah, this is an example of autosomal recessive trait, because here the female is also affected, and in a Y-linked there is no disorder appearance in a female. Okay, so hope so you have understood about the pedigree, and in our next lecture we will understand about disorder probability. This is the homework for you. Now you will have to find out that which pedigree is it, means which trait it is following, which trait this is following. Okay, so you will have to give an answer. The option is autosomal dominant, okay, autosomal recessive, okay, X-linked recessive, none of the above. You'll have to give the answer in a comment section, so that in my next lecture I will come up with the probabilities also, to how to apply the probability in a pedigree. So till then, take care, bye bye, and have a nice day.